everyone, it is Monday morning, it's about 6:30 and I cannot sleep. My husband left the house about an hour ago. I've been awake since about 10 to 5 and yeah, I don't know why I particularly decided to pick up the camera, but I just thought I'd come and have a chat. I just thought I'd come and talk a little bit about anxiety, because that is why I haven't slept for the last hour and a half, when normally I am very, very good at sleeping, especially at this time of the morning. I'm going to try and put you down. I'm sorry, this is not going to be, whoopsie, expert filming skills here. Let's hope that works. There we go. This is not going to be the most flattering of angles, because as you can see, I am still in bed. But yeah, I just can, sometimes even in the middle of an anxious time, I'm not saying I'm having an anxiety attack, I'm definitely not. But even in an anxious thought cycle, I sometimes find myself thinking, gosh, anxiety is crazy. Sorry if that's not a very helpful word to use. But I mean, obviously, I'm sort of stating the obvious. Anxiety is so irrational. And isn't it funny how, even though I know that, even though I'm laughing at myself for saying that, I still can't stop feeling anxious, and so therefore I'm still succumbing to that irrationality. If you hear any weird noises, it's because the dogs are asleep at the end of the bed, probably gonna snore or something worse. So what happened, it's not always the case that I can figure out where my anxious moment or anxious hour or so, or whatever anxious day started, but I know today. And what happened was, I woke up in the dark. Sometimes during the week, my husband and I sleep in separate rooms, because he, as I said, starts work and leaves the house very early, and I am not a morning person. I do not cope without sleep, and I tend to go to bed, sorry, itchy scalp, I tend to go to bed quite a bit later than him. I didn't last night, actually. But yeah, anyway, so sometimes we sleep in separate beds, and I woke up and it was pitch black, because it was 10 to 5, quarter to 5, and I heard the floorboard outside the bedroom that I'm sleeping in creak, and I don't know whether it was because, I'm not sure I even knew what the time was at that point, actually. I hadn't checked my clock on my phone. And I hadn't heard him and the dogs who sleep in with him in the week. I hadn't heard them go downstairs. I hadn't heard anything move. And anyway, cutting a long story short, I then heard a knock or a sound downstairs, and I thought, oh my God, there's a burglar. And immediately felt quite vulnerable, because I was in this room on my own. So luckily this weekend, I'd reactivated my Ring camera app. I'd been locked out of it for ages. And so I was able to just quickly log on and look at the camera that we have in our kitchen, which we use for the dogs. Or at least I did before my app stopped working. And immediately everything was fine, because it was just my husband. It was that time of the morning that he was getting up. He was letting the dogs out for a wee. And that was what I'd heard. The creak on the floorboard was probably one of the cats. It's a very, very creaky floorboard, so it doesn't require someone heavy to stand on it for it to creak. So I think one of the cats had just run upstairs to get away from the dogs, and yeah, that had started it. Anyway, then I was awake, and I felt quite awake, when I wasn't in that like moment of waking up and thinking, oh my God, why are my eyes open, sort of thing. I felt quite awake. I got up for a wee. Anyway, the thought just crossed my mind that if I got up then, which I would never think of doing, but if I got up then, I could take the dogs for a walk before I go to my hospital appointment later. And somehow in my head that meant I'd be taking them in the dark, which isn't necessarily the case because I've got a few hours until I need to leave. Anyway, for whatever reason, that was where my head went. And then I was thinking, oh, well, that probably wouldn't be very safe to go for a walk in the dark on my own with the dogs. And anyway, somehow this got on to thinking about what would happen if I was out walking the dogs and a loose dog, an out of control dog, an angry dog came along and attacked mine. Now, obviously this is quite topical at the moment because there's so much going on in the news with people being sadly attacked and killed or maimed by dogs. And that's been a big deal in the last sort of 6 to 12 months because of all the new rules surrounding XXL bullies. Now, I am not here to get involved in the politics of that. But even before all of that was an issue, I and my husband to a degree have worried about or talked about what would we do if that happened to us and our dogs. You know, a dog comes up to yours and is aggressive, reactive, whatever. What do you do? Because particular dog breeds, once they've locked onto something with their jaw, they just won't let go. It's kind of, I think it's almost physically impossible for them. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that is true of some breeds. Now, anyway, so this has been kind of a recurring thing, but it's never stopped me walking my dogs. I don't walk them that much at the moment because of various other issues I've got going on, but that's another matter. It has never really stopped me, even though there are times where I really worry about it. And this morning, it just took hold of me, and I was almost shaking with anxiety about it. And my husband had come back upstairs in the meantime, and the dogs had come to lie on the bed with me. And he was having a shower and getting himself ready for work. So he came in to the room to say goodbye before he left. And I just said, oh, I never ever want to walk our dogs in public again. I only want to take them to dog parks, you know, those kind of secure fields. And he's like, what? And I just said, oh, I just feel really anxious. I'm worrying about our dogs getting attacked. Anyway, so this is kind of where it started, I think. And then I managed to kind of, I think him saying, okay, well, if that's what you want, he did the right thing and just said, if that's what you want, that's what we'll do. And that kind of just reassured me that I didn't need to worry about them being attacked. And then I had a bit of a moment about him driving to work in the dark. And I always do have a bit of a thing about him driving to work. We've had this thing since we've been together where we say no risking to each other before either of us goes anywhere. And there have been times where I would obsessively check that he'd arrived at work. Anyway, so that kind of went through my mind a little bit. But then it just began this massive spiral of, I mean, normally what would happen in this situation is that I'd just go back to sleep. But I didn't, I couldn't. I tried putting a podcast on, which I'm really enjoying listening to, which is about being a creator, basically. Content creator, is that what they call us? YouTubers, Instagrammers, that kind of thing. Not an influencer, but, well, not necessarily, I suppose. Anyway, I was listening to a podcast about that, but then that made me anxious about the fact that I haven't posted a video for 2 weeks. And I started spiraling, thinking, how am I going to get to the point where I've got time in life to do the videos I want to do, do them well, because I've also kind of been trying to up my videography skills, and I want to make my videos a bit more beautiful. Not in a faking it way, but in a kind of just thinking more carefully about how I shoot them. She says, lying on her side in bed. So yeah, then I started panicking. Well, not panicking, but feeling anxious about my social media and my YouTube, and the fact that I've still only got a small number of subscribers, and I don't seem to have hit on, you know, the kind of video that lots of people want to watch yet. And that isn't the reason that I started the channel, but of course, in the back of my mind, there's always the thought, well, if this went really well, then I might be able to have a bit of passive income from it, and that would be incredible. So anyway, so I went into that spiral of thinking, oh, I'm never gonna have time to do everything, which obviously isn't true because nobody does. Sorry, obviously is true because nobody does. But also almost defeated myself by saying, oh, well, you know, you've tried these things before, you might as well just give up now. It's been 2 weeks since you posted something. And I suppose one of the benefits of having a small number of subscribers is that I don't get messages from people saying, where's your video? You know, I know that happens to people who have got hundreds of thousands of followers. If they miss a video, you know, an upload scheduled day or whatever, they might get messages from people. And I don't get that, of course. Like, there's nobody else expecting my video. So it's so silly that I'm thinking, oh, been 2 weeks, it's been too long kind of thing. But I totally went down that spiral. And then I was thinking more generally, and this is so funny saying this out loud, but basically I thought about going and getting into our other bed, which is our bedroom where my husband sleeps in the week. I thought about going and getting in there because it's a bit of a more comfortable mattress. It's a bigger bed. This is a double and that one's a king size. And I thought, oh, maybe if I just had a change of scenery, I'd be able to go to sleep, which is what I ultimately was wanting to do. And then I remembered that he'd said that it was the sheets needed cleaning, and that's just because the dogs have been sleeping on my side of the bed instead of on top of the duvet where I've not been in there. And also the other day I'd been in there with a lint roller because the duvet cover has picked up lots of fluff. Some of it's dog hair, but some of it's just fluff from goodness knows where. And even washing the duvet cover hasn't got rid of that. And it just doesn't feel very clean, even though it has been washed. Anyway, that thought of thinking, oh, actually, I won't go and lie in there because it doesn't feel very clean and I want to be cozy, it somehow turned into, our whole house is covered in fur. Our whole house is, like, how are we ever going to be clean in any way? And yeah, our cleaning schedule, especially the last few weeks, has been pretty rubbish. So there is a lot of housework that needs doing. But, like, we have a very comfortable home. There's no reason for me to be panicking about it. And then that got into somehow translated into me worrying about the fact that I've agreed to take a table at a kind of not a car boot, but you know, an indoor tabletop sale. That's what they're calling it. A jumble sale. I've agreed to take a table at the jumble sale in our village next Saturday, and basically we haven't collected together anything yet from the house. And I know we've got loads of stuff, but I'm not ready, and I don't think I'm going to be ready. I think it's just going to be one of those things where I just haven't given myself enough time to do it. And I probably just need to message the lady and apologise and say, I'm really sorry, but can you give the table to someone else? But then I thought, oh, but if you don't do this, then you'll never get rid of all the stuff, because you never do that trip to the tip, you never take the stuff to the charity shop. You've had pairs of curtains lying around in the house for months, which is all true. That is all true, and part of the reason why I'm doing this whole sorting my life out effort. And the last few weeks I have felt like I'm finding it quite difficult to dedicate any time to that, which I think is what is spiraling here. But yeah, and I just thought, how have I started with a creaky floorboard, and now I'm here lying here completely unable to sleep, despite the fact I've only had about 5 hours sleep, and worrying about hair all over the house, and never getting rid of the clutter that we want to get rid of. And even more crazily, why doesn't that then result in action? Like, why does that result in me just feeling more anxious but still doing nothing about it? And that has absolutely been the pattern for a long time for me. Anyway, I just wanted to come here and share that, really, because I hope for somebody somewhere it will reassure you that it's not just you. It isn't just you that has a brain. Oh, my alarm's going off. Hang on. It's not just you that has a brain that will do this to them. It's almost self-destruction, isn't it? And, you know, I am really lucky that I'm at home. I'm in a safe place. I'm not out and about in public having a panic attack. And I wasn't having a panic attack. It was just endless, like, cycles of getting stuck in thought cycles that weren't getting me anywhere. And I'm perfectly fine. I will be fine. I think actually just talking about it, and actually just before I filmed this, I went onto my YouTube channel. I can't remember what made me go on, but I went on to look at something and realised that my last video had like double the number of views that any of my videos before had, which was just encouraging, even though it's still a very small number in the grand scheme of things. It was encouraging, and I thought, oh, well, maybe there is a point in this. So that was good. But yeah, I think I'll have a fine day. I've got to go to hospital, but it's just for an X-ray. It's nothing invasive or horrible to deal with. So it's only really the inconvenience of missing the morning of work, really, and then needing to fit other stuff in around it. And I feel really grateful that I've managed to talk myself out of the anxiety today, because I don't always do that. And sometimes, sorry, I'm a bit uncomfortable. Sometimes it will follow me into the day, and this kind of pattern that I'm describing will just continue on and on and on. And that's even though after many years of dealing with this, I've got a number of strategies to deal with that. But anyway, I hope this has been useful, just to have the insight, really. I think what I'm going to do, I'm now fully awake, so I think I'm going to get up and have some coffee, and I'm going to try and have some purposeful playtime with the dogs this morning, just so they've done something active before I go out, because I've got to leave them for a couple of hours, which I don't really like doing. But I've got to go and have this X-ray, and then when I come back, I need to get some serious hours of writing done today. One of my clients runs a publishing business, and I'm doing some creative writing for them. So I need to get on with that. I've got a deadline, which is today. And I was going to finish it over the weekend, but I had really bad period pain, so I didn't. So yeah, that's the plan for today. I'm sure that other things will come up. But I think what I'm going to do this week, I don't know whether I'm going to separate it off. I think I will do a separate video. But I think I'm going to try a vlog this week, because I really like the idea of them. And I mean, I do love sitting and chatting to you guys. But I think it will be something different. And it might lend itself more to the kind of real life thing that I talk about. Otherwise you're just getting to see a little tiny corner of my house at a time, and my life at a time. So it would be nice to kind of take you along to what might end up being quite a boring week of just sitting working. But anyway, it would be nice to have a chat every day. So yeah, I'm going to try a weekly vlog. I think that'll be the next video after this one, because I've just noticed I've been filming for half an hour, so I don't think that putting this as the intro to a vlog would be a good idea. So we'll do this as a separate one, and we'll stick a vlog up next week sometime when I've had a week of vlogging, obviously. I hope you have a great week. I hope next time I see you, I've had a great week and I haven't been lying here feeling anxious all week, because I promise you at about 4 o'clock this afternoon, this lack of sleep, this 3 hours of sleep that I've missed, is going to hit me like a ton of bricks, and I will probably want to have a nap. So I'll probably see you there. But yeah, I really hope that by sharing my experiences of anxiety kind of real time, or very soon after I've been dealing with them, is is useful and not triggering for anyone. I firmly believe that normalising mental health struggles is helpful to people with mental health struggles, but also is helpful in terms of awareness, because I think understandably people who haven't experienced anxiety problems, or when it becomes an almost intrusive problem, it's quite difficult for them to understand it. And I get that, because why would you? Because it's so irrational, you wouldn't understand it. So maybe having it talked through like I did at the beginning of the video, hopefully it's helpful. That's all I really want, is for somebody to find this helpful. So if you did, please like the video, subscribe if you want more of my rambling in your life, and come back for the next video. I think if you press the bell button, that will tell you every time I upload a new video. So yeah, press that as well, and I'll see you soon. I'll just see you when I see you, let's say that. Bye.